Is there another version of you with same likes and dislikes, same memories, same sense of humor, same personality? Is that possible? Or, stranger still, is there another version of you who's ever so slightly different? A person who looks exactly like you, wears same clothes, does everything same, but instead of math, they love physics. It might be hard to imagine, but the possibility that there is another you is something that physicists can't rule out. In fact, physicists just don't think another you might be possible. Some even think it's more likely than not. That would mean that right now, as you're watching this video, someone could be out there who is watching the same video, wearing same clothes, and sitting in the same way as you do. To get the sense of what it really means and how likely it is, let's start by considering how special you are. At first, it may seem pretty unlikely that someone exactly like you could exist out there. After all, imagine all the things that had to happen just for the universe to make you. A supernova had to explode near a cloud of gas and dust, shocking it into gravitational collapse to form our sun and our solar system. A tiny little clump of that dust had to gather together to form a planet at just the right distance from sun so that water wouldn't freeze or turn into steam. Life had to begin. Dinosaurs had to get wiped out. Humans had to evolve. The Roman empires had to collapse, and your ancestors had to dodge all the war and plague. Then your parents had to meet and actually like each other, and that's just getting to your birth. The thing about all the decisions you have made in your life that have led you to be who you are today. You ate a lot of bananas or you didn't. You met that one important friend or you didn't. You decided to stay home at that time when you otherwise would have had tragic accident. You somehow just found this silly video about universe and decided to watch it. All of it, starting 4.5 billion years ago, led to your existence right here, right now. What are the chances that all of those things would happen in exact the same way again to make another you? It seems pretty unlikely, or maybe not. Let's trace back all the random events and decisions and moments that led to you and try to calculate what those odds are. We'll start with today. How many decisions have you made since you woke up? You probably decided to get out of the bed, decide what to wear, and what to have in breakfast. And all of those decisions, even small, can change the course of your life. For example, your choice of color of the shirt for an interview could have changed the course of your career. Let's assume that every minute you make one or two potentially life-changing decisions. Let's assume it's only a couple per minute, which means that you make thousands of such important decisions a day, up to a million in a year. And let's assume that your age is more than 20 years, then you have made 20 million decisions that have led to who you are today. Next, let's assume that each decision you have made had only two possible outcomes, A or B, bananas or apples. Really, it's many more, but for simplicity, we'll just keep it two. To calculate the odds of you being who you are today, because of those 20 million decisions, you have to raise 2 raised to 20 million because the number of possibilities grows with each decision. If you have to choose which side of the bed to get off, right or left, which fruit to have breakfast, bananas or apples, and how to get to work, train or bus, then there are 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 2, that is 2 raised to 3 ways in which your day can go. The odds that you got off on the left side, had banana and took bus is 1 in 2 raised to 3, that is 1 in 8. So if you make 20 million A or B decisions in your life, that means that there are 2 raised to 20 million different ways in which your life could have turned out. Now that's really a big number, but we're just getting started. We also have to include the odds of you being born, which is the result of decisions of your parents. If you include them, you have to add another 40 million decisions, 20 per each parent. Now bring in your 4 grandparents, you have 80 million more. Great grandparents, 160 million more. You see where this is going? Humans have been on this planet for about 30,000 years, in fact more than 30,000 years. So that means there have been at least 1500 generations. And let's assume that per generation there are 2 people who have influenced you or your life. That means 1500 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 20 million decisions. That would mean 60 billion decisions. So the odds of you happening again is 1 in 2 raised to 60 billion. But why stop there? Let's take into account pre-human history, billions of years of evolution going back to smallest microbes. Life on Earth began about 3.5 billion years ago. If you had to make a family tree that far back, it would be mostly microbes or simple plants. They may or may not have made conscious decisions, but they would have affected by random events. The way wind blows, whether sun shines on them, or if rain falls on them, and so on. Let's assume that at a minimum, your microbial ancestors were affected by one random event per day, and that each of those random events had two possible outcomes. That means we have to add another trillion decision events. That's only limited to Earth. Let's unwind our local blob of universe all the way through the formation of solar system 4.5 billion years ago. Keep going through previous stars and planets that held the atom that make up you. Then go all the way back to Big Bang 14 billion years ago. As a dramatic underestimate, let's assume again that on each of those days, one important event happened that could influence the direction of your life. That means that there are roughly quadrillion decision events leading up to today. That means that in total, for you to happen again, it'll be 1 in 2 raised to quadrillion. It is unlikely, but not impossible. That number, 2 raised to quadrillion, it's a pretty big number. Try to picture 1 followed by 100 trillion zeros. 2 raised to quadrillion is that big number. For reference, there are 2 raised to 265 particles in observable universe. To get to 2 raised to quadrillion particles, the observable universe will have to be multiplied 3 billion times. So the chance that someone exactly like you has ever existed or will ever exist again is 1 in quadrillion. Otherwise, pretty much zero. So for you to happen again, it would be like rolling a dice that has 2 raised to quadrillion sides and getting same number twice. So how is it possible that physicists can even think about this happening? So why do they say that there could be another version of you? Well, we live in a strange reality, and there are actually several ways in which another you could be out there, which that includes one scenario where you could actually meet them. If it's hard to imagine that another you could exist in this universe, then maybe we'll have to look elsewhere for apple-loving, train-taking version of you. A lot of physicists are attracted to the idea that there might be more to the reality than just our universe. Maybe, they say, there are actually multiple universes. Is it possible that in one of those universes there is a version of you? In one version of multiverse, our universe is one of an infinite number of universes. The only catch is that our universe is a little bit different. If you look closely at our universe, there are a lot of things that are arbitrary and kind of weird. For example, cosmological constant that happens to be 10 raised to minus 122. But why that value, 10 raised to minus 122? Why not some other value? Why not 1? Why not 100? Well, physicists can't really figure out why only this value, and they don't know the reason why cosmological constant is that value only. What they say is that there could be multiple universes where this cosmological constant could be different. Say there's a universe where this value is 1, another universe where this is 100. We happen to be in that universe where this value is 10 raised to minus 122. There could be a universe where this value, cosmological constant, is just quadrillion part different than ours. In that universe, another version of you could exist. Another version of multiple universes hypothesis is quantum multiverse. This version comes from an attempt to explain another strange thing about universe, the bizarre randomness of quantum mechanics. According to quantum mechanics, every particle has an inherent uncertainty about it. For example, if you shoot an electron at another particle, it's impossible to know ahead of time if it's going to bounce left or right. The only way to find out is to actually shoot an electron and measure which way it goes. But what makes an electron go left instead of right, or right instead of left? Once again, we're left in a situation that drives physicists crazy, an effect without cause. What if, when an electron has to choose to bounce left or right, the universe splits into two? In one of the universe, the electron goes left, and in another, the electron goes right. And what if in both of those universes, another particle has an interaction, those universes split again, making even more universes? Believe it or not, this makes more sense to physicists because it means that universe isn't random. Why didn't electron go left? Because there's another universe in which it went right. It's not random because electron goes both ways. What if quantum multiverse is real? It means that there is most definitely another version of you out there. In fact, if new universes are being created every time a particle makes left or right decision, more yous are being popped into existence all the time. In the quantum multiverse, there isn't just one you out there. There could be countless another you. So is this multiverse real? In both those versions of multiverse, there might be another you. In fact, there might be lots of other yous in those universes, but do we know if these theories are true? Unfortunately, no. So far, multiverse is just an idea thought up to explain or at least excuse why universe seems to be so choosy. And even if these other universes exist, we aren't connected to them and we don't have any way to interact with them. This means we may never be able to confirm if they exist, much less visit them. So, is this soap opera dramatic meetup between you and your twin is never going to happen? Not necessarily. There's another way for you to exist. They might exist in this universe. That means it might still be possible for you to meet them. What if in another part of the universe there was a cloud of gas and dust that was just like the cloud of gas and dust we came from? And what if supernova happened in just right way to make the sun and a solar system exactly like ours? And what if in that solar system a planet formed just like Earth, exactly the same distance from the sun as our Earth? And what if on that Earth the exact same thing happened that happened on our planet, so that an exact copy of you was made? Before, we estimated the odds of this happening of another you to be pretty astronomical. We compared it to rolling a die that has 2 raised to quadrillion sides to it, expecting to get the same number twice. Now, those are tough odds for sure, but there's an important thing: they're not zero. That means, as unlikely and miraculous as you are, it is technically not impossible that you could happen again in this universe. Just because it's hard to roll the same number twice in a giant 2 raised to quadrillion sided die doesn't mean that it can't or won't happen. Each time you have a cloud of gas and dust that forms into star is a roll of die that could potentially make another you. In theory, it could happen a few solar systems over, or maybe just on the other side of the galaxy. The point is, it's possible. And the odds of you happening again get even better if we consider more of the universe. For example, there are about 250 billion stars in our galaxy. That means that there are 250 billion more chances for the universe to roll a die and make you again. Of course, rolling a 200 quadrillion sided die 250 billion times and hoping to hit the same number again would give you still pretty slim chances. But there's a lot more to universe out there. Let's consider observable universe. We know that there are at least 2 trillion galaxies in the part of the universe we can see, each with few hundred billion stars. Now that the odds are a little better, we are now rolling a die 2 raised to 78 times, hoping to hit one number in 2 raised to 2 trillion. But what if the universe is a lot bigger than what we can see? What if it is so big, so full of stars that there are 2 raised to quadrillion stars in it? That means that you are rolling a 2 raised to quadrillion sided die 2 raised to quadrillion times, which gives you pretty good odds. In fact, it's more likely than not. Is the universe that big? Is it possible that the universe has 2 raised to trillion stars in it? Actually, physicists think that the universe might be bigger than that. In fact, they think that the universe is almost likely to be infinite. An infinite universe is a hard thing to wrap your head around, both literally and figuratively. Imagine a universe that goes on forever in all directions. What does that mean for the possibility of another you? If the universe is infinite, there's most definitely another you out there. It might be good odds to roll a 2 raised to quadrillion sided die 2 raised to quadrillion times and hoping to hit another number. But if you get infinite rolls, you most certainly will get it. Infinity is a number so big that even numbers like 2 raised to quadrillion is pale in comparison. In fact, If you roll a die an infinite number of times, you will hit 1 in 2 raised to quadrillion just not once, but an infinite number of times. That means there wouldn't just be another you out there in this universe. There would be infinite number of yous in the universe. Imagine hopping in a rocket and flying off in one direction. At first, all the stars in the galaxy will look very different from one another. But that makes sense because the chances that those stars would form again are pretty small. But eventually, if you look at enough places, even very unlikely things will happen again. You'll find a place that happens to have same conditions that made our sun and our planet, and even you. And if you keep going further, you'll see it again and again and again to infinity. And each time you pass those repeating stars, you'll be able to see another version of you. Versions that are exactly the same and also different version. That's how big infinity is. And all of those yous would be in the same universe, sitting in the same space. Of course, they might be so far away that you could never actually reach them. But what if you could find another way to cut distance in the space? In theory, something like wormhole, which comes from different points of the space and time, could take you closer to another version of you. Now, this is something that physicists can't rule out. So, wrapping it up. Is there another version of you? Well, it depends. If the multiverse is real or if universe is infinite, then most certainly the answer is yes. If neither theory turns out to be true, then most certainly the answer is no. What's interesting is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of middle ground. Either there is most likely only one of you in the entire universe, or there's an infinite number of you. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video and hope you liked it. Please put your thoughts in the comment section and please do subscribe. It takes a lot of effort to make these kind of videos, and if you can show some love, please hit that subscribe button and I'll see you next time around. Bye bye.